The Brew House was created to capture and share with you the long history of the Genesee Brewery. But the brewery itself isn't half as interesting as the beer and the people who make it. Visit GeneseeBrewHouse.com.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into the original Rochester Press Box, presented by the Genesee Brew House. I'm Bill Pucko, and it's great to be back after the 27-day world tour.
It was only 27
days? Yeah, it was only
days?
27 days. I took in baseball games in Tacoma, Spokane, and Lansing. I saw the Lansing Lugnuts play. This is all research, and having brought it up now, it's tax deductible.
Wow, good for you.
And it's a pleasure to welcome in after now, this is your third visit, so you become a semi-regular on your third visit, Jenna Cottrell.
With jazz hands.
Channel 13, very nice. Mike Catalana, co-hosting Channel 13, and from the Breakroom, Duffy. Also has a first name.
I was going to say.
You know, I thought it was interesting that Michael Jordan came out this week and actually said and did something in terms of social activism, which is something that he spent his entire career avoiding, and we're seeing more and more of this. Jenna, do you like it?
I personally do, because I think athletes have a platform to get out there. I mean, they're idols to so many young kids, and they really are, they can be a catalyst to change. So I think that especially someone with the esteemed career of Jordan coming out and saying his stance on something, I think it's great to see. And I know it's controversial, of course, in the manner in which some of these athletes have gone about it and what they've been supporting. But I think they have the platform, and it's, you know, a catalyst to change can come from that.
Am I going to have to be that guy?
You're always that guy.
All right. Bill Russell, what he did was brave. Jim Brown, to like it or not, his history, what he did was brave. Michael Jordan has $1 billion in the bank. Michael Jordan famously said when he was playing about his basketball shoes, why don't you endorse someone for president? Well, conservatives buy shoes too. Carmelo Anthony is brave for taking a stand. After you've made billions of dollars off of people, it's not brave to stand up, because if all of a sudden everybody tomorrow said, I'm not giving any money to Michael Jordan, I'm not buying any of his sneakers, he's still going to be richer than 99% of people on the planet. There was no risk in what he did, and the fact that he did it after waiting so long is kind of a slap in the face of the people that are telling him you did a great thing.
And Carmelo said it as much when he said, you know, it's about time. It's funny, since the ESPYs, I think we've taken a whole different slant on Carmelo and what we think of him.
Yeah, because if you look back at his history, you know, he had that video that he was involved in that, you know, we talked about the no snitching policy down in Baltimore, and a lot of people wanted to label him quickly with that. I do think he's a guy with a social conscience. When I look at Michael Jordan, I think of him less as the athlete now and more as the successful African-American businessman in that way. And I think, yes, he did take a stand. For Michael Jordan, that was something big. But he donated money, I don't even want to use the term both sides, but to two different groups of a controversial issue. So to Pat's point, I don't think it was really particularly brave, but it was one of the rare times we've heard him even comment on a social issue, let alone take a really, what you would say was a brave stance.
Kids were killed over his sneakers, and Nike used that as part of an advertising campaign. You can't tell me they didn't think that helped them push shoes, and now all of a sudden you're going to stand up and have a voice? It bothers me. You should have just kept your mouth shut.
There's a danger in all this too, don't you think? Because it's like, who judges as to whether or not the stances they take are proper? For instance, if an athlete comes out and says, I'm for skinheads. Yeah. Well, and you saw how it worked out for John Rocker years ago.
It doesn't even have to be something that I think the majority, okay, you know, you come out, okay, Black Lives Matter t-shirts. That's phenomenal for that group of people that want to put a spotlight on that. But if somebody came out with t-shirts that said abortion is murder, would people still support it in that way? And I'm just picking that as a controversial subject that has many people on both sides, not even necessarily someone who says this is a really, you know, skinheads or, you know, something about terrorism. We're talking about issues that could easily have the country divided, and if it's not the one you like, then do you not then support their cause.
And
in
it
that
goes
way.
to the commissioner, right? The commissioner came out and said, hey, I'm all for these guys taking stances.
Yeah.
Until they don't take a stance that doesn't agree with the way he thinks.
I mean, I think in general, though, when you take a stand, you're going to have people that are against it or for it. So, yes, I think the fact that you use the anti-abortion thing,
Right.
where abortion is murder type of thing, and you put that in the spotlight, it's going to get kickback regardless. But I think because athletes have the platform for that they do, it makes people want to talk about it. There's so much coverage of these athletes that maybe it's good to get attention and talking about certain topics that kind of have been pushed to the side. And what better way to do it than to just put them out there and have them in the spotlight?
Pat, you're exposed every day on a rather, loosely constructed radio program. And that's complimentary because they're hard to do. Do you find yourself having to say, I got to be careful that I can't say this?
Well, no, I mean, I'm very lucky. I've had life experiences, and I mean, listen, I'm not going to be that guy, but I have a Jamaican wife, so I see things that a lot of guys in my position don't see, right? Experiences that I don't have. And no, I've been lucky enough where the folks that I work for give us free reign to say what we think. But, I mean, I'm not being looked up to by 7- and 8-year-old kids like LeBron James, Michael Jordan, name the athlete is, right?
But you have some clout.
People understand that I'm an idiot, right? And people should understand that I'm an idiot.
That's clout.
But here's the thing.
Haircut gave that away.
Here's the thing.
Wow.
Carmelo Anthony is an idiot. Michael Jordan is an idiot, right? These guys aren't Carl Sagan. These guys aren't Ivy League educated human beings. They're guys that were born in a bubble and have lived in a bubble of athletics their entire life. Just because Carmelo Anthony says something is some way, doesn't make it that way. Same thing goes for Michael Jordan. Same thing goes for you, and me, right? And I think that's what people lose sight of when these athletes speak for and against these causes.
This is the original Rochester Press Box, presented by the Genesee Brew House. We'll be back. The Hillside family of agencies works with youth and families on their own terms, helping them pursue their own goals, whether at home, work, school, or one of the Hillside campuses, offering encouragement and commitment, standing with families, helping to create a healthy future. Welcome back to the original Rochester Press Box, presented by the Genesee Brew House, and this portion brought to you by our friends at the Hillside family of agencies. Aroldis Chapman gets traded from the Yankees to the Cubs, and the Cubs take heat for making the deal. When does Aroldis Chapman cease being toxic?
I don't know, because, I mean, I'm one of these, not to stay on this, kind of somber tone we've had so far, but, I mean, violence against women is one of these things I can't be okay with. Not that any guy can. But like you said, he served his time. The punishment was deemed appropriate by Major League Baseball, and I'm one of these guys where I just want to watch sports. I don't care about background. I don't care about social causes when I'm in the game. So it's not like I'm not going to watch a game that he's pitching.
I think that's the issue, though. There's such a separation of church and state, with your production and with your home life. And it's hard to blend those two because, let's be real, sports are a business. But it's a question that needs to be asked. Like, where's the bleed over? Where is that okay? But you're right. So many people are still going to watch Chapman pitch. They don't really care about it. But is there a stance that maybe the commissioner can take or the league can take? But I don't know what that answer is.
What always bothers me in these cases is when people will say things like, everybody deserves a second opportunity and a second chance. What bothers me about that is I think that's fine once you have served what most people would consider an appropriate punishment. And I go back to Michael Vick all the time, and I think what he did was horrendous. But has anybody in recent time paid more of a price than Michael Vick did for what he did? He went to Leavenworth. He lost his full contract and came back, and he still had people that wanted to protest and go against him. And the guy as a person seems to have turned around, and there were still people that never wanted to give him the break. Now with Chapman, I mean, I don't pretend to know every detail of what happened, but I think as fans, if you are against him because of that, you look and say, 50-game suspension, the guy's made millions of dollars, he's still going to make millions. How much of a punishment was it? It's not like he did jail time for what he did. So I think some people want that pound of flesh before they're willing to say, okay, now you can come back.
Never used to be this way. Remember when sports was easy to cover?
He mentioned Jim Brown earlier, an icon to a lot of people for a lot of things, but there's a guy with a big history of domestic violence allegations through the years. And because it was a different time, that is kind of put to the side, where he is a guy in many other ways has been a beacon for his community. In that way, is a pretty big negative.
But the question becomes, if you hold one guy to the standard, you hold everybody. And you use Michael Vick as an example. The weirdest thing I've ever seen is this past season when the Steelers signed Michael Vick. There were people outside of the stadium holding signs protesting the signing of Michael Vick. Meanwhile, your starting quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger, paid a settlement to a woman who accused him of sexual assault. So the life of a dog is more important than the life of a woman, and I know they don't mean that, but if you're going to have it this way, it has to be the same way all the way around.
And we keep getting in deeper and deeper and deeper. Because
Yep.
these issues are important to us.
No, absolutely. I mean, even looking at like Greg Hardy or Ray Rice, when that video came out, the team releasing him that day, I think before that, I mean, it was like, oh, okay, you'll get the 2 games. It'll be 6 games. Like, then that video comes out, and it's like, wow, this is real. And people couldn't turn their attention away from it. And I really think because that video came out, that's the reason why.
This portion of the original Rochester Press Box is brought to you by the Hillside Family of Agencies, like it or not, when we return.
As we go to break, it is time for the Turnbull Heating and Air Conditioning Trivia Question of the Week. When you're searching for a local heating and air conditioning contractor, look no further than one of the most reliable teams in the area at Turnbull Heating and Air Conditioning. Is called Turnbull at 343-2005. As we come back from the break, time for the answer to the Turnbull Heating and Air Conditioning Trivia Question of the Week. When you're searching for a local heating and air conditioning contractor, look no further than one of the most reliable teams in the area at Turnbull Heating and Air Conditioning. Just call 343-2005. See New York in a whole new way. Amtrak is offering a 15% discount for all travel inside New York State and to Montreal. Visit Amtrak.com for the See New York discount. Safe, comfortable, affordable, and easy. Amtrak. Enjoy the journey.
Welcome back to the original Rochester Press Box, presented by the Genesee Brew House, and this portion brought to you by Amtrak Trains. Enjoy the journey. Mike, like it or not, Jimmy Garoppolo taking over for the Patriots for 4 weeks, beginning this week.
If he's great, Bills fans are going to quit watching the game, aren't they? Look, the guy may be talented, we're going to see. There will be a drop-off. I don't care how good Jimmy Garoppolo is. He's not Tom Brady. Tom Brady's still at his peak, and whenever that's going to end, the working with his receivers and all. But I would be afraid playing Jimmy Garoppolo in week 1, and unfortunately for the Bills, week 4. I think the time to get Garoppolo is like the second week. First week, you're not sure what they're going to do. He could have some things in the game plan that nobody knows. And everybody's going to have tape on him after the first game. He really has not played very much. I think the guy's going to show talent, but let's be honest. He is not going to be Tom Brady. They are going to take somewhat of a step back. You don't replace Tom Brady.
The Patriots are so confident in how well Jimmy Garoppolo is going to do that they drafted a quarterback you've never heard of in the 3rd round of the draft this year. I think that speaks volumes to what the Patriots think of Jimmy Garoppolo. And I'm going out on a limb here. Ooh. You may see that quarterback, whose name none of us know right now, playing in the 3rd week of the season this year.
Well, the interesting thing about that is New England also has had this sort of way of grooming these quarterbacks. Brady just keeps on going, so then they end up dealing the guy to get a draft pick or whatever it happens to be. But just because the guy's in Foxborough, it's excellent coaching staff, quality players around him. Again, Tom Brady, I don't care what he is. It will be a step back. So do I like it? I think I like it for the AFC East because I think they will lose a game or 2 or 3 that they might have not. Well, you don't know that they wouldn't have lost if Tom Brady was on the field and ready to go.
What if he goes 4-0?
Why would you say that? Why would you do that right now? Why would you do that?
Mr. New England here.
That really didn't play into that at all. Jenna, like it or not, the upcoming Olympic Games.
I mean, I love the Olympics, the idea of the Olympics, all the countries coming together, the celebration of sports, all that. Personally, for me, Rio and just the kind of state and Zika and all that, I feel like there's kind of a dark cloud circling over the Olympics just based on the health concerns, the water concerns, stuff like that. But I know it brings a lot of people together, and you're watching sports that a lot of times, in most other cases, really aren't getting any type of love. So I think it brings a lot of people together. I mean, who's not a fan?
Okay. Can I say what you say all the time? Do I have to be that guy?
Oh, are you going to
do
be
not
that guy?
like I respect the athletes. They're phenomenal, hardworking, dedicated, great athletes. I dislike the Olympics in general. The IOC, it's a joke.
Oh, well.
What goes on in these games, it is all money. Even the networks, and I understand why the networks they pay a ton of money for it, but the way everything is produced, almost like a show, and I understand it, as opposed to the sport itself, I'm not excited about it. I love basketball. I'm not excited about watching the games. I don't particularly like the Olympic Games.
But you don't like the atmosphere of it bringing people together around sports.
Because I don't think it. Yeah, a lot of people sit around at home and they'll watch Michael Phelps swim or do whatever. I get that. I don't think it brings countries together. I think a lot of that is made up.
Jenna, you're watching what happens when you get to a point in your life where nothing excites you anymore.
I was just saying, I hear get off my lawn. That's. I feel like a lot of people that are my age, they like to come together in groups, and watch, Winter Olympics, watching curling, getting really into something that's so obscure, but it's so much fun when everyone's together watching.
Are you having a curling party at your house?
Hey, you're invited.
That part, honestly, that part is fine. It's like the game. It's you talked before about I like the games. I want my games. I guess the other stuff has just bothered me so much. I'd rather watch the World Hockey Championships than watch the Olympic hockey. I'd rather watch the NBA Finals than the Olympic basketball. And the other sports, it's cool. And again, I respect how good they are. I mean, Jen, sure, she's a fantastic athlete and in her sport. But look what's going on around it. The Russians may be banned from the games, and there's always the politics around it. That part bothers me.
You'll let the old guy have the last word on that. This portion of the original Rochester Press Box has been brought to you by Amtrak Trains. Enjoy the journey. Unfinished Business is next.
The Rochester Press Box Stat of the Week, brought to you by Cariglio's Pizza. With 5 locations serving the Rochester area, visit carigliospizza.com today.
Keep on track with Dunkin' Donuts fruit smoothies, made with low-fat yogurt and real fruit, blended into feel-good flavors like new wild berry. America runs on Dunkin'. Welcome back to the original Rochester Press Box, presented by the Genesee Brew House. Unfinished Business, brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. Pat.
I said something a couple of months ago, maybe you can find the tape, I don't know. I said on this show, and everyone laughed at me, that every Russian that ever existed that plays sports has taken steroids. After Rocky IV, I automatically assume any athlete that comes out of Russia is taking something illegal, which is why Yarmar Yager at 137 years old just passed Gordie Howe for third all-time on the points list.
And that connects to Maria?
Well, I mean, they're both
Russian.
Yeah, they're both Russians. I mean,
Okay.
come on.
It's Russian. She grew up in Florida.
Same thing. I don't know. They got drugs down there, too. Ask Alex Rodriguez. And you guys giggled. They all went around the room. Hey, guess what? Every Russian that's ever played sports has taken steroids. How? How is it even a discussion that they're going to let any Russian national compete in the Olympics we were just talking about, right? And the fact that we know now, not Iron Curtain Russia, not Soviet Union. Russia now is still trying to dope the athletes, takes out any question that anybody that came from behind that Iron Curtain to play sports in America wasn't on something. I am never, ever going to be able to look at a Russian athlete the same way again. Alexander Ovechkin, one of the best players in hockey, probably on steroids, right? Alexander Mogilny, loved watching him when I was a kid. That dude's probably on steroids. Yuri Hemelev, played for the Sabres, probably don't know his name. I love that guy. I own his jersey, probably on steroids. Bottom line is this. There is no way you can go and enjoy any Russian NBA player, hockey player, not a lot of baseball players, no football players. Keep an eye on those guys. And I said it here first. You heard it on this show out of my mouth first, Bill.
All right, well, training camp is here, of course, and I just have to do an appreciation to the Bills keeping camp at St. John Fisher. It's the 16th year. Growing up, I always went to training camp watching the Giants in Albany at SUNY Albany. I went with my dad, my family, getting to see the players up close and personal. It was so much fun, and it really fostered my love of football from such a young age. And I think it's great that Fisher has the fans that are able to come in, the Bills are there, and it just makes that experience of getting to know the team in that different light of, being in Rochester here, a great experience. So I know it's the 16th year of getting it done, and I just have to applaud both the Bills and Fisher for continuing that friendship.
And beat the 4-hour round trip to Fredonia and back, right?
Yeah, it's a much different experience. All right, well, speaking of training camp, the Bills are in camp now getting ready for the season. And we talk a lot about people evolving, players evolving. Like we want to see Tyrod take the next step, and I have high hopes for him this year. There's somebody else I want to see evolve, and I like him. I like what he brings to the team. I like his energy. I like his knowledge. I'm talking about Rex. And here's what I want to see him do. We already know that Rex is the funny guy. We already know he's the clever guy. We already know he's the guy that the players like. You've won that battle, Rex. You're coaching for your job now. I really do believe that. I think this guy has knowledge. I think he can really coach defense. I think he got away from that a little bit. I want to see him evolve this year. We know you're clever in the press conferences. Everybody has heard the jokes. We don't need it anymore. We know what you have there. I want to see him get back to being the football coach that I know he is. Maybe it's having his brother with him. Maybe it's the passing of his dad. Maybe it all comes together that way. But that's how I want to see him evolve this year. And if he does and gets this defense going, the jinx will end and they will be in the playoffs.
Unfinished Business brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. Jen, good to have you back.
Thank you.
And guys?
Thank you.
And getting the band back together. I like it.
So good to see you.
And thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week in the original Rochester Press Box.